Welcome guys to News Trending Channel, a channel that keeps you updated. Greetings fellow news enthusiasts. It's a pleasure to have you here as we embark on a journey through the latest buzz, breaking news, trending stories from around the globe. Whether you stumbled on us or deliberately just found it or you find yourself here, I'm happy to have you join this community. We are human beings. And becoming sick is something that is common because our body is a system and it's a very complicated system, as you know. Sometimes the system may fail, and in any case a system fails, what is done is that you look for a technician. So as human beings, when we fall sick, it is something that is common. We normally go for treatment. But now there are some kind of sicknesses. You as my viewer, you will not even wish to hear that you've been told that you have that particular disease, or any of your relative is found in that particular area. Now, before we move on, down in the comment section below, can you write for me which kind of disease? You will not even want to hear it coming from the doctor that it is part of your body or it is in your body. Put in the comment section below. Now, the reason why I'm recording this video is on something that is going on so much in the recent past, and we expect even more numbers. And this is a very dangerous disease known as cancer. My main concern is the frequency at which we are getting the reports about cancer is increasing very rapidly. So, what are the reasons? I'm so much puzzled. I've been disturbed so much. Why is the cases of cancer rising so much in this world? So, I have the following points, and I want us to get through. And by the end of this video, stay with me, I'll give you a clip that will show you some of the things that has been confirmed. And actually, the video I'm recording is based on the research, based on the collected information. It is backed by data. So the first thing is about lifestyle choices. And in lifestyle choices, we come to realize that there are some unethical or unhealthy choices that people involve into. Number one is the use of tobacco. Number two, use of shisha. Number three, excessive alcohol. You look at it, is that you find that we even used to have the alcohol in our traditions. We had our local brews. But now the type of alcohol that is being used today, this manufactured alcohol, is posing a great danger into our lives. Let's get back to tobacco and shisha. First of all, I want us to understand what kind of chemicals are involved or are present in these two substances. Number one, we have got nicotine. And my dear viewer, nicotine is a very addictive substance, a very addictive drug. No wonder most people find it very difficult to quit smoking. I once had a cousin and I tried to control him in alcoholism and smoking. By the grace of God, I tried it. And I remember one day he told me that I have managed to control him, both alcohol and smoking. But he lamented on one thing. He clearly told me that it's very difficult to quit smoking than even alcoholic. So, what makes the smoker addicted so much into that is this substance known as nicotine. We also have other substances such as tar, and we have another one, hydrogen cyanide. These are substances or chemicals that are present in this tobacco. Now, I've just mentioned shisha, which has got three most dangerous substances. One of them is nicotine, just as I mentioned earlier. It is a very addictive drug. Number two is tar. And number three is carbon monoxide. We all know the dangers of carbon monoxide. It's a silent killer. Now let's get back to the use of tobacco. You find that this tobacco contains roughly 10 dangerous or toxic chemicals. I've mentioned nicotine. We have another one, which is also known as hydrogen cyanide. We have got formaldehyde. We have got heavy metals such as arsenic and also another one known as lead. We also have the benzene. We have carbon monoxide as well. And remember, we have some other radioactive substances or radioactive elements like polonium-210. That's the mass number of polonium. Those who did chemistry can remember. If you did chemistry, if it was your best subject, please leave a comment in the section below. Let's move on. We also have another dangerous chemical which is known as tobacco-specific nitrosamines. And we also have another one known as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Now, my viewer, these chemicals are present in one particular substance. Imagine that is just smoking alone. And remember, I've said that they're toxic, they're dangerous. You can imagine what effect they will create. Now, smoking in particular is a major cause of lung cancer, and it has been associated or linked with other several types of cancers. I have just mentioned that the tobacco contains radioactive materials. Now you may ask yourself, how are these radioactive substances getting into tobacco? Remember, tobacco is a plant. It is planted in the soil. And in those soils, they normally add fertilizer. But what we are using from tobacco mainly are the leaves. And the leaves, for them to grow well and healthy, remember, the plants absorb substances or minerals, ions from the soil. Now, these radioactive substances get into the plants in this way. Remember, farmers want to get good yields, so they invest so much in buying fertilizer. These fertilizers are the ones that contain these radioactive substances. You may be asking yourself, how does this one make sense? Do you know what? This world is a world of business. When you get sick, somebody is happy somewhere. Your sickness is a profit to somebody. Your health condition is a big game for somebody. So think twice. Now, these substances, when they get into the soil, the plants will absorb them. They move to the leaves, and now these leaves are the ones that are being picked, and we use them to make the tobacco. And then, as a smoker, when these substances are burning, they get into your lungs, they get into your body. You get into contact with them. And this is why tobacco, by research, has been associated with cancer. Finally, and the most painful part of it, is that cigarette smoking causes cancer, as we know. But which type of cancer is it linked to? Number one, it is linked to the mouth cancer, throat cancer, esophagus cancer, stomach cancer, colon cancer, rectum cancer, liver cancer, pancreas cancer, voice box cancer, or known as the pharynx. We also have the lung cancer, trachea, bronchus, kidney, renal pelvis, urinary bladder, and cervix. So this thing gets into the body and distributes. You may ask yourself that, okay, I'm not a smoker. But remember, from science or from the research, it has been found that a second or a passive smoker is on the worst side than an active smoker. So, the reason why there is a high rise is that this use of fertilizers in the soil has highly increased this issue of chemicals into the body that leads to cancer. The cancer, remember, is not caused by pathogens. This is something that is created in a manner that's a bit not easy to understand. You have to get deeper into this issue, the use of these substances. Because if I can remember, especially in Africa, our great-grandfathers and grandmothers used to have this tobacco. But why is it that the issue of cancer was not that much? Simply because by that time, the use of these artificial fertilizers had not been incorporated into the agricultural sector. But as we speak, it is being used because we want to produce this thing in large scale. And so people get into this particular fertilizer, and this is where the real chemicals or the dangerous chemicals are hidden. Remember, your life is somebody's profit. Remember, your life is somebody's profit. When you are sick, somebody is happy somewhere. Who is this somebody? The pharmaceutical companies. They are making good money. They are making good cash while you are there. All your hard-worked money, what you have worked for so much, thinking to plan for better things for your life. You want to pay for school fee. You want to build yourself. You want to develop yourself. It pains me because when someone becomes sick, whether your relative or yourself, it rips you off everything. It rips you off from the resources to the emotions to your healthy life. Everything is gone. That's why I'm here doing this research on why is there high rise. Remember, I told you, be with me until the end of this video. There's a clip I'm going to show you and you'll be shocked. Leave a comment in the section below if there is something that you feel I've not included in this part of unhealthy lifestyle. Leave it in the comment section below. Now, let's come to point number 2. Reasons why we have high cases of cancer. And that is now nutrition. Guys, nutrition. Our food has become a slow poison. Our food. Food is good. The body cannot be built by blocks or by cement. But now, by food. You need carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, water, roughage. But much of these things have been poisoned. So food has become our slow poison. Number 1, let's look at the consumption of processed foods. A lot of foods are nowadays processed. And when they are processed, some of them are kept in containers or in tins or in cans. And there is a preservative that is used. Let nobody lie to you. We cannot keep meat in a container, even if it is airtight, without adding preservatives. You cannot keep fruit in a container for a long time without adding a preservative. These preservatives increases the shelf life of these substances or of these foods. So, these preservatives, the reason why they are dangerous is that they are being used in excessive amounts. There may be a right amount that should be used, but you find they are using them in excess to increase the shelf life even much more than what is expected. And also the containers, like if you look at the processed foods, some of them are stored in containers or in the cans. These cans are made of some substances. These substances are chemicals, remember. Like one of them is known as bisphenol A. Bisphenol A is also known as BPA. It's a chemical that is found in the plastic containers of many foods and beverages and in the lining of the inside metal cans. For instance, you find that canned tomatoes, we have also canned pineapples, canned beans, canned meat. Now, this substance, BPA, is used in making the lining of these containers. But later, this BPA, the bisphenol A, was replaced by another one known as bisphenol S or BPS. Now, it was found that exposure to these substances leads to problems with reproduction and increases the future breast cancer, prostate cancer, mostly in fetus. So you can imagine from the fetus stage, the fetus is already affected. The fetus is already connected to particular chemicals, and this is why there is high rise of cancer cases. Imagine having these things right from birth. You started immediately while you are still in the womb. After birth, you are there. You see? And this is why when these chemical substances accumulate in the body, they rise at a point where they are going to begin causing what we call cancer. Actually, cancer is something that, to explain in a better way, it involves the abnormal cell division process. If you can remember the cell division processes, it is an abnormal, the cells divide but in abnormal way. It is too much. Remember, when you talk of cell division, this is where one cell divides into 2 or into 4, like we have the mitosis and meiosis. So this one is dividing abnormally. The number is abnormal. It is too much. That's why you find that we have things like the growth, the tumor. It is as a result of that. So these substances are very dangerous. Now let's talk about another one under these processed foods. I'm about to forget something here. We have been told that the red meat is causing cancer. But is it true? I tend to oppose this because, like in Africa, we have some other communities. For example, let's take the Maasai community. This is a community that is known as one of the communities that consumes meat in large amounts. But then, these cancer cases is not as common as other communities. The reason is, you find that the Maasais normally consume, number one, they consume fresh meat. It is not under preservation. Because when this meat is preserved, the supermarkets are preserving meat. The butchery meat is preserved. They not only rely on the freezers. Remember, to run a freezer is very expensive in terms of electricity cost. So they must add some other substances in order to increase the shelf life. They must add preservatives. And one of the substances that is being added is known as this chemical is linked to causes of cancer. Because most of these people or the business people that are adding these chemicals into the meat, they don't actually weigh the exact amount. Chemistry is difficult, you guys. Chemistry is not easy. Imagine how chemistry was traumatizing you in school. Then you want to continue traumatizing yourself in the butchery with that chemistry, calculating the number of moles to know what to add into the food as a preservative. It is not easy. And that is why it's just a matter of estimation, approximate. And remember, they are approximating it on the higher side to keep the meat fresh for a longer time. And this is the same meat that we get there to buy, and the meat looks very nice. Because this sodium metabisulfate is known for keeping the food fresh for a long time. It prevents decolorization of the food. So you go there, look at the fruit, look at the meat, look at the chicken. You find that it's very healthy. It looks attractive, very appealing. But what we don't know is that there is a danger inside that meat. On the same, under nutrition, we also have added sugars. Added sugars are high in fructose. And this has been linked to many serious conditions, including obesity, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, fatty liver disease, and the one we are talking about here, cancer. The sugar, which is processed, contains some chemicals, remember. Remember the first point I mentioned, that your sickness is somebody else's profit. When you are sick, the pharmaceutical companies are benefiting. So they can easily add it there or cooperate with the companies that are making these sugars, add it there in order to cause sicknesses or illnesses in humans, and in turn, they sell drugs. Another one is chicken. The type of chicken we are consuming today, the broiler's chicken, how old are they? Nearly 6 weeks old. What makes a chick from day 1 to 6 weeks to be mature enough to be eaten? We have the chemicals, we have the boosters, which are causing cancer in humans. Another thing, look at the bananas. You go to the market or a store or a supermarket, there are two types of bananas. One of them is bright yellow, one of them has spots. This bright yellow banana has been forced into ripening by a chemical substance known as calcium carbide. This calcium carbide is associated so much with the cancer. So these are the causes of cancer when it comes to nutrition, guys. Let's be careful. Let's get to point number 3, my last point. But now I want you to watch this video. After this video, I'll be back.
Sure, we all know that smoking is bad for your health. As a matter of fact, it's probably no surprise that nearly 500,000 people die each year in the United States from smoking-related causes. That's 1 in every 5 deaths in the US. This is the big secret. Our goal is to challenge the status quo, to start a conversation about healthcare and nutrition.
There's a link between processed foods and chronic disease.
Quote, "The crisis in today's healthcare system is deeply rooted in the interwoven history of modern medicine and corporate capitalism. The major groups and forces that shaped the medical system sowed the seeds of the crisis we now face. The medical profession and other medical interest groups each tried to make medicine serve their own narrow economic and social interests. Foundations and other corporate class institutions insisted that medicine serve the needs of their corporate capitalist society. The dialectic of their common efforts and their clashes, and the economic and political forces set in motion by their actions, shaped the system as it grew. Out of this history emerged a medical system that poorly serves society's health needs." End quote.
We are being killed, and nobody goes to jail. This, according to the United States Department of Agriculture and the National Institutes of Health. When you spray the herbicide glyphosate onto genetically modified corn and genetically modified soy, and you feed that to human beings, and then you plot on a graph the incidence of illness relative to the use of genetically modified corn, genetically modified soy sprayed with glyphosate, what you see is a dramatic increase in liver cancer, bile duct cancer, kidney cancer, bladder cancer, thyroid cancer, and this is published and known for years. Inquiring minds want to know, if this stuff is causing cancer and killing us, why is it allowed to be used? Follow the money, baby. On this particular chart, the green line is the trend before the use of genetically modified corn and soy and before the use of glyphosate. The red line is glyphosate use, and the blue line is genetically engineered corn and soy growth, and you can see a direct relationship between GMO corn and soy production and the use of glyphosate with the incidence of liver and bile duct cancer. So look at the green line here is the trend before glyphosate, before genetically modified corn and soy. See a difference? Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't rocket science. This is published research and is evidence of the unbelievable sweep, power, and control that agribusiness has. Your body does not, health of your body does not matter. to these organizations. They are criminal in my mind.
Our food has become a slow poison.
Conventional foods are grown with insecticides and herbicides and fungicides and other agricultural chemicals. We know that. But you know what? There's a lot of other chemicals we have to be concerned about too.
We are now exposed to hundreds of chemicals through our food that 60 years ago we were not exposed to. And the reason is they simply did not exist.
Glyphosate is the main component of weed killers like Roundup. It is a very toxic chemical that has already been linked to irreversible metabolic damage, infertility, obesity, learning disabilities, and birth defects. In 2009, American farmers sprayed 57 million pounds of glyphosate on food crops, mainly on genetically engineered corn and soy crops. U.S. farmers are now using so much glyphosate that researchers are finding it in the rain, in the air, in the streams, in our water supplies.
Our food has become a slow poison.
We are dying slowly here while we have given complete, utter, and total control of the medical marketplace to the MDs and complete, utter, and total control of the production of food to international agribusiness conglomerates. It's time we all collectively snapped out of it and woke up.
What has changed in the last 50, 60 years? The answer is many things have changed in the last 50, 60 years that could be contributing factors to the escalation of these chronic diseases.
If any scientist has the boldness to publish research that demonstrates a problem with genetically engineered food, their research is attacked and they themselves are attacked. And scientists have been sacked, they've lost their job at research institutes, or university scientists have lost their jobs, or even speaking out and voicing concerns about GMOs is very dangerous in the scientific community.
Genetically engineered food products have never been tested for safety. So the long-term effects are unknown. The warnings the science has provided demand a thorough investigation into just how much glyphosate human beings and animals can safely ingest. At present, no such investigation has taken place, and most regulatory agencies choose instead to rely on industry studies claiming that glyphosate is safe. This needs to change. A brand new study by researchers at Duke University Medical Center found that frequent consumption of fructose, this is a type of sugar found in soft drinks and sweetened juices, raises the risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It causes inflammation, it causes scarring of the liver. Significant liver damage is more likely to occur.
Here's the problem, but I'm going to show you very quickly that chronic fructose exposure alone promotes the metabolic syndrome. An increase in obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, lipid problems, cancer, and dementia because of our processed food diet, which we were told was healthy. And they knew back in the 1970s that that was not the case.
Dr. Dean Burke of the National Cancer Institute said, fluoridation is a form of public mass murder. And he also said, in point of fact, fluoride causes more human cancer death and causes it faster than any other chemical.
Cancer is an out-of-control epidemic, and almost half the population is now projected to get some form of cancer in their lifetime, and it's getting worse every year. After accidents, cancer is now the leading cause of death for children. And nearly half of all deaths from 8 categories of cancer, including bone cancer, cancer of the cervix, thyroid cancer, all occur in people under 34 years of age. The knowledge we already have is sufficient to both prevent and reverse cancer. All we need to do is put this knowledge to work.
Finally, guys, to our third and last point. We have what we call environmental hazards. Exposure to certain environmental pollutants and carcinogens such as industrial chemicals, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, they normally spread poisons into people. And we also have radiations, which increases the risk of cancer. When these substances are sprayed in the farm, they get into the water bodies, like herbicides, pesticides are sprayed on the farm. Okay, the target is to kill the pest and to destroy the weeds. But when they get into the food, do they just end up like that? Some of them penetrate into the food. Now, this is the most dangerous part of it. And also the fertilizers that are being used there. Take care, stay safe, and you'll be updated as we get more. And next week, I'll drop a video and see what substances can we use to eradicate these toxic chemical substances out of our body. Because the main target here, now we've known where the root cause is. This disease is scaring, guys. It rips off all the resources that you've worked for. You have labored, you have saved your money for a long time, you bought your assets. It reaches a point where you sell everything just to seek treatment. It reaches a point where you look for fundraising from friends. And this is where now you find that the friends run away from you. Getting a true friend, sometimes it's very difficult. Remember, life is very, very essential. So we always try as much as possible to get health. Remember, health is wealth. That's why we end up spending a lot of money, and it rips off everything, happiness and the unity in the family and with the friends. So guys, next week I'll drop a video and we'll start looking at some of the substances that we can be able to use as medicine. And they're organic, guys. These are not chemical, because what I know from my research is that the current or modern medical industry is not interested in curing the diseases. They're interested in maintaining the diseases. When you have a blood pressure, you'll continue with it. It is part of life. If you have HIV, you'll continue with it. If you have something like, let's say, being diabetic, it is a continuous process. It is not that they cannot make medicine for treatment, but the thing is, the sickness to somebody, it is a profit. I think out of this video, we've learned a lot. We have seen where the problem is. We cannot stop something from happening until we get to the root cause. Now that we know this, information is powerful. Let us use this information. Kindly take a minute or even just 10 seconds. Like this video, share it, and subscribe. The subscription is free, guys. It's free. Just click that subscribe button and click the bell notification icon so that anytime I upload a video like this, you'll be the first one to be notified. Thank you so much, guys. Until next time, bye-bye.